this is Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin and Ripple's XRP. We'll be looking at the MACDs, the moving averages and the day's support, resistance and pivot levels. It is Sunday the 3rd of January. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar, bullish start to the morning here. Going to need to see Bitcoin avoid the pivot at 31,492 to take a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 33,983. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Bitcoin to break out from yesterday's high and new swing high 33,292. Barring extended rally through the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 34,000 to pin Bitcoin back. In the event of another extended rally, expect resistance at 36,000 to come into play. The second major resistance level sits at 35,784. A fall through the pivot level would bring the first major support level sitting at 29,691 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Bitcoin should avoid sub 29,000 levels. Second major support level sits at 27,200. Looking at the MACDs, we've got a marked narrowing of the bullish histograms and a possible bearish cross. Need to look out for that, so keep an eye on that through the early part of the day. On the EMAs, however, we are seeing the 50 hold its ground against the 100 and the 200. A slight widening suggestive of a further upside through the morning. So keep through the early part of the day. Avoid a fall through the pivot at 31,492. Break out from yesterday's high, 33,292, to then bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that, and support levels are in play. Moving across to Ethereum against the US dollar. Slightly bullish start to the morning here. Going to need to see Ethereum avoid the pivot at 759.91 to take a run at the first major resistance level, so 804.60. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ethereum to break through to 800 levels. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 810 to cap any upside. In the event of another extended rally, Ethereum should test resistance at 830 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 833.90. A fall through the pivot will bring the first major support level sitting at 730.61 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ethereum should avoid sub 720 levels. Second major support level sits at 685.92. Looking at the MACDs, got a marked narrowing of the bullish histograms and got to keep an eye on that because there could be a possible bearish cross. On the EMAs, however, we are seeing the 50 move away marginally from the 100 and the 200, supporting the early upside. So keep through the early part of the day, avoid the pivot at 759.91. Break out from yesterday's high, that was at 789.21, through to 800 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels will be in play. Moving across to Litecoin against the US dollar, positive start to the morning. Going to need to see Litecoin avoid the pivot at 134.38 to take a run at the first major resistance level, saying at 144.96. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Litecoin to break back through to 140 levels. So barring an extended rally on day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 145 to cap any upside. In the event of breakout, Litecoin should test resistance at 155 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 152.79. A fall through the pivot will bring the first major support level sitting at 126.55 into play. Barring an extended sell on the day, Litecoin should avoid sub 125 levels. Second major support level sits at 115.97 with a 23.6% fib at 115. Looking at the MACD, we've got a narrowing of the bullish histograms, but nothing suggestive of a bearish cross yet. So keep an eye on that through the morning. On the EMAs, we're seeing the 50 move away from the 100 and the 200, however, supporting the upside early on. So avoiding the pivot at 134.38 and breaking back through to 140 levels would bring resistance levels into play. Moving across to Ripple's XRP against the US dollar, it's a bearish start to the morning. Going to need to see Ripple's XRP move through the pivot at 0.2235 to bring the first major resistance level sitting at 0.2362 into play. Barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 0.24 to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, should see Ripple's XRP test resistance at 0.25 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 0.2513. Failure to move through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 0.2084 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ripple's XRP should avoid sub 0.20 levels. Second major support level sits at 0.1957. Looking at the MACDs, slight narrowing of the bearish histograms, supporting the slight recovery through the morning after the early pullback. On the EMA, however, we're seeing the 50 move back from the 100 and the 200, suggesting further downside ahead. So failure to move through that pivot at 0.2235 would bring support levels into play.